Last Action Hero began at the height of Arnold's invincibility. He was Hollywood's myth made flesh. The man who never lost, never bled, never looked back. But behind the explosions and the ego, it was a legend learning he could die. The script that ate its creators alive, rewritten until no one remembered who started the fire. The cameos that turned Hollywood into delirium. Where the joke stopped being funny and started feeling real, and the movie that looked into Hollywood's future, terrified by its own reflection. These are 15 weird facts about Last Action Hero. Filmet tried to rewrite the rules of action and paid the price for being right too soon. Number 1. Before Last Action Hero exploded onto the screen in a blur of meadow madness, it began as something raw and far meaner. Two college kids, Zach Penn and Adam Left, were obsessed with how The Simpsons could mock a genre while still being part of it. So, they wrote Extremely Violent, a screenplay that did the same thing to action movies. A brutal, errated satire where a muscle-bound hero named Arnold Slater killed cliches as icily as bad guys. Their version was fearless. No magic ticket, no cartoon logic, just bullets, blood, and irony, sharper than any knife. It tore into every trope Hollywood had built around its biggest stars. The exploding cars, the dead partners, the one line delivered with a smirk and a flex. Studios loved the idea until they tried to make it. That's when the machine turned on its makers. Hollywood didn't just buy the parody, he'd absorbed it. Shane Black, the very writer whose movies the script was mocking, was hired to rewrite it. Then came William Goldman, then Larry Ferguson. Even Carrie Pfizer stepped in to polish dialogue between explosions. Each new draft buried the teeth a little deeper, softening the satire, brightening the tone, turning rebellion into routine. By the time it reached production, no one could tell who the real author was anymore. The students who mocked the system or the system that swallowed their joke. What began as a weapon against Hollywood had become one of its products. Number 2. By 1993, Arnold Schwarzenegger wasn't just a star. He was the action genre itself. Every explosion, every one-liner, every impossible rescue had his name stamped on it. But Last Action Hero flipped the script. For the first time, Arnold didn't play the hero. He played the idea of one, an invincible action god forced to realize he's not real. He pushed for the parody himself, eager to mock the myth he'd built. The film turned his career into a funhouse mirror. Bullets became jokes, villains quoted Shakespeare, and movie logic was both weapon and curse. Audiences in 1993 didn't get it. They wanted more Terminator, not self-awareness. But decades later, its mix of meta-humor, genre deconstruction, and surreal chaos feels prophetic. The franchises, the CGI, the endless reboots. Last Action Hero saw it all coming. It didn't fail. It just arrived 20 years too soon. Number 3. In the summer of 1993, two titans went to war, and only one survived. Last Action Hero was supposed to be Arnold Schwarzenegger's ultimate triumph. A movie so big, it broke the fourth wall. The studio spent months hyping it as the next Terminator 2. Bigger, louder, funnier. Billboards covered entire cities. Arnold was everywhere. The movie couldn't lose. But then came Jurassic Park. Steven Spielberg's dinosaurs roared into theaters just 1 week earlier and swallowed the box office whole. Crowds lined up around blocks to see CGI creatures that felt alive, while Last Action Hero played two half-empty rooms. Arnold begged Columbia Pictures to delay the release. They refused. Marketing was locked, prints were shipped, and the studio believed his name alone could stop a stampede. They were wrong. The press called it a massacre. Jurassic Park shattered records, passing $900 million worldwide. While Last Action Hero barely clawed its way past $130 million, it wasn't a fair fight. Science crushed satire, and the blockbuster parody was buried under the very kind of spectacle it tried to mock. In the end, Arnold didn't lose to another hero. He lost to evolution, proof that even legends can go extinct overnight. Number 4. Few movies ever sold themselves harder than Last Action Hero before a single ticket was bought. The marketing team launched a full-scale invasion. Jack Slater's face was on everything. Billboards, soda cups, comic books, and even a 4-story inflatable Arnold hovering over Cannes. But Columbia Pictures wasn't done yet. They bought ad space on a NASA rocket, literally sending the movie's logo into orbit. It was the first time Hollywood tried to market beyond Earth's atmosphere. Meanwhile, Arnold did 94 interviews in a single day, personally vetoed a line of violent toys to protect his family audience, and posed with anyone willing to shout, "I'll be back." The campaign reached the stars. The problem, the movie never caught up. It was a cosmic publicity blitz for a film still fighting to find its identity. Number 5. Last Action Hero didn't just break the fourth wall. It tore it to pieces and invited everyone in Hollywood to walk through the movie's world. A delirious mashup of fantasy and fame overflowed with cameos that felt like hallucinations caught on film. One moment, Tina Turner shows up as the mayor, greeting Jack Slater after a shootout. The next, Sharon Stone strides past as her basic instinct character right beside Robert Patrick's T-1000. A crossover so bizarre, it feels like the cinematic universe had a In the police precinct, Danny DeVito voices an animated cat cop named Whiskers, an absurd nod to Saturday morning cartoons, while MC Hammer pitches Jack Slater a rap soundtrack. Even Humphrey Bogart strolls through the background, digitally resurrected from another lifetime. Every frame became a collision of timelines, genres, and ghosts of Hollywood music past. It was chaos by design, a fever dream about fame itself. Inside the movie world, everyone was a cameo. everyone was fiction. And as the lines blurred between action, animation, and afterlife, Last Action Hero transformed into a surreal mirror, a place where Hollywood didn't just parody itself, it got lost inside its own reflection. Number 6. Before Charles Dance became the Manold assassin, the studio had someone else in mind. Alan Rickman, the die-hard legend, turned the role down, and Columbia, desperate for that same elegant menace, went searching for a cheaper substitute. Enter Dance, who took one look at the absurdity and decided to lean in. On his first day, he walked onto set wearing a t-shirt that read, "I'm cheaper than Alan Rickman." The crew roared. So did Arnold. And in that moment, the tone of the whole film clicked. Everyone knew they were in a parody. Even the villain. Dance played Benedict with pure venom and theater-trained poise. The only character who seemed to know he was in a movie and loved it. In a story about imitations, he became the real thing. A bad guy so self-aware he almost stole the film from the hero. Number 7. Hidden inside Last Action Hero's chaos were 2 quiet goodbyes. Art Carney, the legendary comedian from The Honeymooners, played Jack Slater's weary cousin. A meta-end joke about the endless stream of avenged relatives in action movies. His last line, "I'm out of here," was meant as a gag, but became haunting in hindsight. It was his final moment on film before his death later that year. "I'm out of here." And standing not far behind him was Professor Toru Tanaka, the fearsome pre-wrestler who once fought Arnold in The Running Man. Here he returned for one final fight, not as a villain, but as a reminder of the wild muscle-bound decade both men had helped define. 2 different legends, one last bow. The movie mocked endings, but for these men, it became one. Hear the movie winking at you again. If you want to jump back into the mayhem and watch the line between real and real fall apart all over again, you can grab your own copy through the links below. DVD, Blu-ray, or even VHS IF. You're old school. Thanks for the support. It really means a lot. Now, let's kick open the screen and dive back in. Number 8. If Last Action Hero had a secret weapon, it wasn't bullets, it was memory. The entire film plays like a mixtape of Hollywood itself, splicing together decades of cinema into one chaotic love letter. IMDb lists nearly 70 direct references, almost one every 2 minutes. You can spot a King Kong joke hidden in one of Benedict's lines. "All Dracula, I can get King Kong." Greater than, and the film even sneaks in a moment that echoes the timeless magic of E.T. Even Schwarzenegger's own career became part of the parody. Posters for Terminator to show Sylvester Stallone instead, as if the movie world had rewritten its own history. The film cops from Commando, Die Hard, Serpico, Lethal Weapon, and even noir classics, where every trope, line, and punch becomes both homage and mockery. And then there's the cop who mutters, 2 days to retirement, right before an explosion erases him. 2 days to retirement. The kind of joke only action fans would catch, borrowed straight from Danny Glover's Eternal Lament. "'Cause greater than I got 8 days to retire me, and I will not make a stupid mistake." It's not just meta, it's mythic. A blockbuster built out of its ancestors' DNA exploding with the rhythm of every film it ever loved. In the end, Last Action Hero didn't just parody Hollywood. It spoke Hollywood fluently, frantically, and with the giddy chaos over dream that remembered every movie it ever watched. Number 9. When Arnold produced Last Action Hero, he didn't just want explosions. He wanted an anthem. So he called it CDC. The band fired back with Big Un, a brand new track written just for the movie. The riff hit like thunder. The video starred Arnold himself, and the song climbed straight to number 1 on the rock charts. The movie may have stumbled, didn't it? Became a time capsule of early 90s rock featuring Def Leppard, Alice in Chains, Meat Death, and Queen's Music Rich. A lineup so heavy it could have crushed the box office by itself. Decades later, the guitars still hit harder than the reviews. The film faded, but the music, it never stopped playing. Number 10. When Last Action Hero hit theaters, the toy aisles became a miniature battlefield. Mattel unleashed a full line of Jack Slater action figures, all biceps, sunglasses, and bravado. And yes, some could talk. Using real voice chips, the toys shouted one-liners, like "I'm the hero" and "stick around." But the recordings were so flat, fans joked Arnold sounded more exhausted than explosive. Still, for kids in '93, holding a plastic version of their hero, one that talked back, was pure movie magic. It didn't matter if the film underperformed. In toy stores across America, Jack Slater was still the number 1 action star. Immortalized in molded muscle and mechanical swagger. Number 11. In the early 90s South, every blockbuster had a tie-in game, and Last Action Hero was no exception. Released across Super Nintendo, Sega, Genesis, and Game Boy, it let players punch their way through endless streets as Jack Slater, while Danny Madigan's haunting pixel face stared from the title screen. The gameplay was clunky, the enemies repetitive, and the color palette weirdly pink. Critics called it pain in cartridge form. Their only saving grace, a car chase level that actually matched the movie's chaos. Complete with flying debris and over explosions. It wasn't fun. It wasn't fast, but it was so 9 South that hurt. Proof that even Arnold couldn't rescue the era of rush-time games from itself. Number 12. Last Action Hero wasn't afraid to mock its own reviewers. Literally. During the film's Hollywood premiere, the lobby displayed fake newspapers with headlines roasting real-life critics who'd trashed Arnold's earlier films. Some laughed it off, others didn't. When the movie bombed, those same critics hit back twice. Ezard, calling it bloated, smug, and incoherent. But time flipped the verdict. Years later, many of those same voices admitted it had been ahead of its time. The inception of action movies, one critic wrote, released 20 years too early. In the end, Last Action Hero got the last laugh. It was the only blockbuster brave enough to parody its critics' music and live long enough to be proven right. Number 13. When Last Action Hero hit in 1993, critics didn't know what to make of it. A movie within a movie, characters stepping out of the screen, a kid arguing with his own hero. It was too strange, too self-aware for a decade built on sincerity. The box office collapsed, and Hollywood laughed it off as a misfire. But the years proved it prophetic. Everything Last Action Hero mocked, franchise fatigue, meta storytelling, digital cameos, even movie worlds merging into one became the blueprint. For modern cinema, from The Matrix, to Scream Deadpool, to Free Guy, the same ideas that once confused audiences are now box office gold. It didn't predict Hollywood's future by accident. It invented it long before the industry realized it had. All race stepped into the movie it once mocked. Number 14. For Arnold Schwarzenegger, Last Action Hero wasn't failure. It was evolution. He wasn't just flexing muscle this time. He was dismantling his own myth. Jack Slater was the mirror image of every hero he'd ever played, but cracked, vulnerable, human. The gamble backfired at first. Critics laughed. Studios panicked. And Arnold's invincible image took its first hit. Buff never apologized. Years later, he called it the first time I truly took a risk with who I was, and said proudly, I'd do it again. Because beneath the explosions and irony, Last Action Hero wasn't just about movies. It was about letting the hero bleed and proving that even legends can evolve. Number 15. For years, Last Action Hero lived as a punchline, a case study in Hollywood excess. But time has a way of resurrecting the misunderstood. As the 2000s brought a wave of meta-cinema, fans began to look back and see the brilliance buried beneath the chaos. Reappraised as a cult classic, it finally earned the respect it was always chasing. Critics now called it too smart for its own decade, and audiences who once mocked it started quoting it. In 2021, it got a full 4K restoration and festival encore, greeted not with laughter, but cheers. It took nearly 30 years, but Last Action Hero finally lived up to its title. A fallen icon that rose again, proving that even the loudest flop can still echo like legend. Bonus fact. The marketing team behind Last Action Hero didn't just sell a movie, they built a universe inside one. To make the world of Jack Slater feel real, Columbia Pictures created an entire campaign for Jack Slater for the fictional sequel inside the film. There were posters, trailers, standees, even listings in a few local papers that accidentally advertised it as a real movie. Audiences walked into theaters, genuinely expecting a new Arnold blockbuster, not realizing the joke was part of the story. Columbia's art department had gone so far they blurred the line between satire and spectacle. For a movie obsessed with fantasy bleeding into reality, the hoax was perfect. Last Action Hero didn't just parody Hollywood, it tricked it one fake poster at a time. When Last Action Hero first crashed into theaters, it looked like Hollywood's biggest misfire. A blockbuster that aimed at the system and blew itself up. But time revealed something truer. It wasn't a failure. It was a prophecy. It mocked sequels before they ruled the box office. It laughed at CGI excess before it consumed everything, and it dared to make its biggest star question what it even meant to be a hero. Decades later, the world finally caught up. The movie audiences once rejected for being too weird became the language every franchise now speaks. If you've revisited Last Action Hero and finally seen the genius hiding in the chaos, drop a comment. Tell us what cinematic rebel we should tear into next. Because back in 1993, Arnold broke fourth wall, and 30 years later, we're still living inside it.